A couple of months ago, a friend of mine asked me to marry him and his fiance, be the officiant of their wedding in Mexico, in Isla Mujeres, which is outside of Cancun, actually. So I booked my plane ticket and fly to Mexico and get to immigration, and they look at my passport. Well, my 3-year-old daughter had drawn all over my passport with a red marker, and I didn't really figure like it would matter that much because they let me out of the U.S. with it, but they wouldn't let me into Mexico. So I stayed in this holding cell for a while, and they found me a plane to take me back, but they were just going to ship me back to Houston. So I get deported from Mexico. This is 2 days before the wedding, and end up in Houston that night. And so I decided to try to get a new passport the next day, and I get all my paperwork and things together in the morning that the passport office said they needed for a new passport, and I get to the passport office downtown, and this is what I find in the front lobby. So the woman you see at the podium, her name is Rose Escobar, and she organized a press conference at the passport office with the help of a lot of people and some government officials to help get her husband, Jose Escobar, back to the States. He recently was deported to El Salvador, which is where his parents, when he was 14, took him from and brought him to the U.S. to seek new opportunities. And he didn't get all of his paperwork done, but he left behind her and 2 children. And so, it really affected me, the fact that all these people come around her, and that her kids could possibly grow up without their father around. And I knew that was going to be the next case study session. Lie there like you're living underwater. So the only place I knew in town that I could talk to an illegal immigrant would be at Home Depot, because I pick up guys at Home Depot to come work for me sometimes. So I went to the local Home Depot to interview somebody. We'll just hang out right here for 1 second.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. I'm Casey.
Casey? Jose.
Jose. Nice to meet you. So I'm doing a song and a documentary on deportation and immigration. And do you have any family and people that are experiencing trouble with this, and kind of what your story is? So that's all, if you have anything to say about it.
Okay. Since everybody was scared because Donald Trump talked to deportation and this is my family. This is my family scared, and tell me. How
many family members of yours are don't have their green cards, and do you have some that could be deported, like a mom or a dad or a brother?
My mom and my sister, and my brother. He said me should be careful, and you wanna look for job, and
So what about you? Do you have all the papers for you, or are you still working on that? You have to work on that?
Yeah.
So are you scared?
Yeah, I'm scared because I think comes in immigration right here and take everybody, take me.
Yeah, because they could just pull up right here, right?
Yeah.
And take everybody.
Yeah, take everybody.
Yeah, but you need to be here because you need to work.
Yeah. I need to work.
So what's the solution, What do you do?
Donald Trump don't deport families and people, immigrants, and that's it.
Would you become an American if you could?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah?
Good. Because but you know that's Latino. He's come to America because looking for jobs and help and family and sons and moms. Every family. He's Latino, very scared, and the frontera, Mexico, because frontera Mexico is narcos and maras. For whatever. So
it's dangerous there. You come here to be more safe.
Yes.
And now it's becoming dangerous.
I think Latinos feel safe America because in America is no that's crimes, but not Mexico. Like from Matamoros, Tamaulipas, is narcos and Zetas. Latinos safe here.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know.
Do you have friends that ended up getting in gangs and becoming narcos?
Yeah. This is my cousin. My cousin died and last year.
Your cousin died?
Yeah.
From
Matamoros, Tamaulipas, because he a narco.
Well, I appreciate it, man, and I wish you the best of luck. Thanks for letting me interview you.
Thank you.
Here, I'll give you that.
So I got my passport, made it back to Mexico, but I needed to buy some clothes. So I stopped by this mall outside of Cancun, and it looked just like any other mall in the U.S., but I had no idea how much violence and the underneath what was really going on and what made people want to move to another place. I'm sure it was very much like this when people left Europe to find a new place in the States when the U.S. began.
So, now it's time to write the song. Sometimes when it's writing day, I will go back through my voice notes and look at different things that I wrote. So one idea that I wrote for this was, after looking at that lady, I was thinking about, who would be the most hurt by that scenario? And it would be the child, right? The child, when the child's born, not being able to be a family unit and see that the kid's dad, be able to have a father. So I wrote this one idea here. So that was kind of like a, who am I going to be now that I'm not afforded the right of a family, so to speak. Now there's this other thing that I was listening that I wrote. I thought had a really cool vibe to it for this. Turn this light on. So that was pretty cool, and I'm thinking that might be a verse, Those are kind of my 2 or 3 parts that I don't know if they're going to work together, but I feel like they will. Starting from the child's perspective, like the young guy and the unborn kid, that seems to be the most kind of relevant place of how the deportation and the displacement of people is going to affect, the most, or the children. So let's see what happens. Have you ever heard of this thing called the imposter? And it's this idea that you're not really who you say you are. And that a lot of us, especially artists, go through this go through this thing where we are afraid people are going to find out that we're not really good at what we're doing, or that we're not really artists, or that we're imposters. And so it's this way of thinking that's very kind of destructive to whatever you're doing in your life. And so there's a degree of that I think is also true for us. So maybe that's what an illegal immigrant feels like, is an imposter. Let's say you're a very healthy person, you're not doing drugs, you're just working, and you really came from Mexico to the US because you wanted a better life, because like the kid said, like, you don't want to look over your shoulder and think someone's going to kill you. Well, so you are really a person looking for freedom, looking for goodness. Now let's say you're a drug dealer and you've got a connection with arms or drugs or terrorists, and so you really are an imposter. You're here and on American soil with the intent of kind of doing something bad, when we think that you may have the intent of doing something good. So, so I think that there's that element. Now, me being an artist, when I feel like an imposter. So maybe let's see if I can write some of that. Are you an honest man? Did you make a sacrifice? Was it really dangerous? Is this just a bunch of lies? I thought it was cool. This next verse I really like is, are you and I the same? So like, aren't we all, is not this country a place that all of us have come from? Only the American Indians are really the only ones that were native here. We are all immigrants. So I think that there is a degree of kind of understanding, I was born here. So for me, I'm an American, I'm born here, I'm not an immigrant, but, my grandfather's grandfather was. So, time is creating some kind of difference, and what is that? So part of it is, aren't you and I the same? Aren't we all escaping hell? Aren't we here to have a name? Aren't we all from somewhere else? 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 I'm thinking about in the song, production, maybe repeating that, because it's it becomes meditative, or it becomes like, a thought to think upon. All right, and I'll keep writing. Now bringing it home, we want to find our place. We want to find the one. We want to find our break. Be like, are you the one? Are you the one? Are you the one? Are you the one? I'm a refugee. Or like, do you want me? Metaphor for relationship, but I'm also using the relationship as a metaphor for the literal issue of deportation, immigration. So they kind of one becomes a metaphor for the other, so that's kind of what this song kind of experiments with. Hey, so I've got everything set up today, and I'm thinking about restricting myself from the tracks. You know, I keep like building every possible melody and instrument into something, but keeping this song simple seems to be like a really good idea. I'm using some mics from a company called Roswell, which I've used in the past. These right here, the K47s I use on the piano, but I'm using them on the acoustic now. And this one I use on the vocal. And it's one of my favorite vocal mics. And all their stuff is really, really good. It's just quality, but still like not out of a normal musician's price range. Yeah, so I've got all the drums mic'd up, and I don't think I'm going to do any piano. I may do some whirly, but I'm going to start with the iPad. I feel like this one's super digital, just to kind of combat the organicness of this idea of being deported. So, but it is a very modern thing that we're dealing with now, So I'm going to get into this session and see what happens. I'm kind of working on some beats here. I'm using Oxy again on the phone. I'm really trying to match the kick up with the bass. And the different thing I'm doing here too is I'm actually affecting, instead of just loading in a loop, I'm playing Oxy on my phone live so that I can filter it. So listen, so that kick is filtered all the way down, and I'm just changing the filter ever so slightly. Hear that? So that I'm playing live, and I think it gives a more kind of organic feel to this kind of electronic thing, because you don't want to sterilize your music, obviously. So that's kind of what I'm thinking on that. All right, keep going to work.
Did you make a sacrifice? Was it really dangerous? Is it just a bunch of lies? Are we the same? 'Cause you call me the enemy, finished eyes and crossing T's. You have no problem using me. You have no problem using me. You had no problem using me. Had no problem using me. Had no problem using me. I'm an alien looking for a place to love. Make it work before my time is up. Something left for younger ones. Somehow we're all the same. Aren't we all escaping hell? Aren't we here to find a name? Aren't we all from somewhere else? Aren't we all from somewhere else? Aren't we all from somewhere else? Aren't we all from somewhere else?